shutdown averted for now. How infighting between House Republicans could risk a long-term spending bill.
It is becoming increasingly clear who the Speaker of the House already works for.
And in sports, Ohio hockey earns its first 2 wins of the season. Newswatch starts right now. A major first for the city of Nelsonville. Good evening, I'm Reese Thompson. Welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio. A major milestone out of Nelsonville, the city's first ever Pride celebration. Newswatch reporter Jack Green spoke with people who say this event can change lives.
I'd never been to a Pride event. This was my first one ever.
Eli, a queer teen from Nelsonville, says it was hard to find their place in the community.
When I originally started going by Eli in 8th grade, I had gotten made fun of a lot. And a lot of people told me, you're not a boy. Why are you going by a boy's name? And I got made fun of a lot. I got bullied. It sucked.
But now, the Nelsonville Pride celebration is creating a more welcoming environment, something Eli never had.
I think the importance is to make sure everybody knows, like, hey, we're here. And if you want to come join us, come on. You're safe here.
Some say the event will make Nelsonville a safer place.
Increasingly, it's not always easy to be who we are. And when folks are under threat, there can be a closing in and a closing down. And we know that there are harmful consequences to that, not only for the individual, but for the larger community.
Eli says finding space for queer people in Southeast Ohio has been hard.
I think being able to give this opportunity to those people that don't have that opportunity often is awesome. Normally you would have to go to Athens for a Pride event, and not everybody can do that. So now that there's one in Nelsonville, that's pretty awesome.
Eli says they hope to help plan the event next year. Reporting for Newswatch, I'm Jack Green in Nelsonville.
Organizers say big plans are already in the works for next year's Pride, including a parade. You may see some bright fluorescent vests at Ohio's Wayne National Forest, as it will be undergoing a national survey for the next year. Interviewers from the National Visitor Use Monitoring Survey will be conducted data from recreation sites and along roads of the forest. The survey plans to gather basic information, including recreation area use, number of people, time spent in the National Forest, and satisfaction with the facilities and services provided. Some visitors may be asked to complete a survey about their trip to the park, which will be voluntary and anonymous. A vote later this month will determine the fate of 2 summer camps owned by the West Ohio Conference of the United Methodist Church. The conference is trying to cut costs as a growing number of churches leave the denomination. The conference's summer camps have seen enrollment decline significantly in the last decade. The camps are operating at a net loss of hundreds of thousands of dollars. Still, supporters of the camps say they are fundamental in developing the faith of young people. It's officially fall fire season, and that means burning regulations are now in effect around our region. The Ohio Department of Natural Resources say the abundance of dry grass, leaves, and weeds on the ground mixed with gusty winds and low humidity make it easier for a fire to spread out of control. For Ohio, burning will be prohibited from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. until December 1st. In West Virginia, burning is prohibited between 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and the season will last through the end of December. Walking around campus, Emily, I've started to notice the leaves are changing colors and leaves are falling, but it still feels like summer. We will start to see those temperatures soon, or no?
Yeah, Reese, we're going to still see some warm temperatures going on, and we're actually taking a look at a fall foliage map right now. So Ohio, we don't have a lot of dropping going on of those leaves, or a lot of that changing. A lot of it's still in northern Ohio. But if you're planning on taking a trip up towards New England, you're going to see some very pretty colors. But part of the reason that we have that burn ban is because a lot of these leaves that fall act as really good kindling for those fires to start. But like you said, these temperatures do not feel like fall at all. It's about 83 outside right now. Earlier today, it was pretty warmer in the mid to upper late 80s, as well, under clear skies. Not too much of a breeze to really cool you off. And over the past 24 hours, we were in the mid 80s yesterday. Last night we dropped down to the low 50s, but throughout the day today we pretty quickly picked up, and that's largely due to this high pressure that's sitting around our area, allowing a lot of these clouds to really stay away. And we'll talk more about what this means for us later on this evening. But for tonight, we're going to still see clear skies, and that's going to allow for this temperature overnight to drop to a low of 57, since we won't have that cloud layer acting as a layer of insulation. Be sure to stay tuned for my full forecast. We look at some rain forecasted later this week. Back to you, Reese.
Thanks, Emily. The grace period is ending, and Ohio drivers may be seeing more tickets for being distracted on the road. Law enforcement can begin issuing tickets Thursday for distracted driving and speeding, with this week marking 6 months since the law went into effect. The Ohio State Highway Patrol has only issued warnings for distracted driving during the 6-month period. Distracted driving applies to anything from using a smartphone to eating while driving. Since the law went into effect, almost 4,000 distracted crashes have taken place and over 3,000 driving violations have been issued. 160 new arrests by the Ohio Attorney General's office today following a week-long statewide human trafficking crackdown known as Operation Buyer's Remorse. Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost announced the effort by the Ohio Organized Crime Investigations Commissions took place in and around Columbus, Cleveland, Toledo, Akron, Youngstown, Marietta, and Portsmouth. The operation consisted of stings by the Commission's 8 human trafficking and major crimes task forces. Law enforcement officers interviewed 104 survivors of human trafficking, who were provided services from healthcare and social service organizations. In a press conference about an hour ago, Governor Mike DeWine says the Ohio Department of Education will cease to exist at midnight. It is the latest development in the ongoing saga of just who will be in charge of public schools in Ohio after changes passed by lawmakers in the summer as part of the the state budget going into effect. Those changes move oversight of public schools from the State Board of Education to the governor's office. By a lawsuit by a group of parents argued the changes are unconstitutional, and a judge issued an order temporarily blocking some of the changes. State leaders met today to discuss the lawsuit. Just after the meeting, the governor held a press conference saying the new department will be able to function and he plans to follow the court order. But just how that will work is unclear at this time. We will bring you the latest development in this story as they happen. Still to come, the United States narrowly avoided a government shutdown this weekend, what the House is looking at over the next 45 days. And the first day of the New York civil trial of former President Donald Trump. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
We are seeing beautiful weather today, and we will for the rest of this week, but as we move into the weekend, things are going to change. Stay tuned to Newswatch to find out how this will impact you.
As a Beatle, John Lennon belonged to the world. Now American Masters tells us the intimate story of how he found himself.
Being John Lennon.
John would often say, I should have been born in New York City.
The greatest place on earth. One of my biggest kicks is doing things I couldn't do when I was, in the middle of the Beatles stuff.
Meet the John Lennon few knew in Lennon, NYC.
Just try, okay?
Only on American Masters.
Thursday at 9 on WOUB.
This is for you.
You got grit, I can tell you're never gonna quit. No, not even for a split second. Counting all your blessings. You got personality like Christmas got his presents, and I like it. Yeah.
I always want to create something that's gonna mean something.
That's fabulous. And I like it. Yeah.
Dare me to do something.
Don't stop, honey, gotta do your thing. I like it. Don't stop, honey, gotta do your thing.
I really want to show the world how beautiful our culture is.
There was more similarities than differences.
It makes us happy. It makes us feel good.
Yeah. So spread those golden wings. We're gonna shine like the stars. Got the
It is part of our unique story. All of us together.
This is our special time.
I like it.
Salute!
Honey, gotta do your thing.
We're going intergalactic.
Don't stop, honey.
We're going to make memories.
I like it.
Saturday at 10 on WOUB.
The clock is ticking again to avoid a government shutdown. A funding bill passed over the weekend bought Congress 45 days to come up with a long-term plan. Mike Valerio reports on why House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is now facing a new set of challenges.
A government shutdown averted for now.
We're going to be right back in this place in November.
Down-to-the-wire negotiations led to bipartisan passage of a stopgap funding measure, keeping the government open through November 17th.
A needless crisis will have been averted.
The bill includes natural disaster aid and a measure to keep the Federal Aviation Administration operational. Notably absent, additional funding for border security and funding for Ukraine, an issue dividing House Republicans.
There is no way that we can abandon Ukraine.
I tell you, that's not a mission the American people support.
And now, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy's future is on the line. His decision to put a bipartisan bill on the floor has painted a target on his back.
It is becoming increasingly clear who the Speaker of the House already works for, and it's not the Republican conference.
Representative Matt Gaetz is among the hardline conservatives threatening to move to oust the California Republican. The unprecedented move would paralyze the House of Representatives and jeopardize the chance of passing a long-term funding bill before the deadline. McCarthy says he's ready for the fight.
Bring it on, let's get over with it, and let's start governing.
I'm Mike Valerio reporting.
Meanwhile, a last-minute deal between Mack Trucks and the United Auto Workers Union late yesterday narrowly averted another strike. The UAW announced the 11th hour tentative contract agreement just 9 minutes before the union's contract was set to expire. The union members must now ratify the contract so it can go into effect and end the risk of a strike. This comes as the UAW continues its strike against General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis. There are now more than 25,000 UAW members on strike after the union expanded its targeted strike to 2 more assembly plants on Friday. Former President Donald Trump's New York civil fraud trial is officially underway. Trump appeared in court for this first time today, arriving in Manhattan last night after campaigning in Iowa. The New York Attorney General's civil lawsuit alleges Trump, his sons, and his business engaged in a decade-long fraud. The Attorney General, Letitia James, says the Trumps conspired and falsified business records, issued false financial statements, and engaged in insurance fraud. James says Trump and others pumped up the value of multiple properties. By doing so, she alleges Trump lined his own pockets.
The Trump Organization saved an estimated $150 million by receiving favorable interest rates that were only provided based on the false and misleading statements of financial condition. We also believe that he illegally saved millions of dollars in federal tax benefits.
James is seeking $250 million in the lawsuit. The case will be decided by New York State Judge Arthur Engoron, who has recently found Trump engaged in persistent fraud for a decade. This is the first court case to put the Trump family on trial and is expected to last 3 months. Trump has denied any wrongdoing and claims the Attorney General has unfairly targeted him.
Good evening. I hope everyone had a great weekend. Happy Monday. We are now in October, but unfortunately our temperatures aren't really reflecting that. Right now it's about 83 outside with clear skies, not too much of a breeze, so pretty much on the hotter side of things. And we're really seeing this happen due to this high pressure that's really creating this big bubble around the East Coast, Central Great Plains, and the Great Lakes area. And that's going to be hanging around for a while, and it's really pushing a lot of these clouds away, so we're not really seeing any cloudy skies along with it. But we are seeing a slight development out to the west, and I'll talk about that here in just a minute. But that high pressure is really reflecting our temperatures because it's allowing a lot of these clouds to stay away. So instead we're seeing a lot of the sunshine come in and really warm things up. That's really well reflected on this map. We've got Chicago at 85, Memphis at 91, Pittsburgh at 81. So not really fall-like conditions at all, but that's going to change. If we take a look at what's going on out west, we see a very clear, well-defined line, and that's where a cold front is beginning to develop, and that's eventually going to push in later this week. But as for tonight, we're going to see an overnight low of 57 with mostly clear skies, and we're dropping so low even though we've had such a warm day because we don't have any clouds to really keep in a lot of that insulation, a lot of that warmth in that we got during the daytime. So we're losing that layer of insulation, so we'll see some stars, but it'll also be a bit on the chillier side. So if you're going to be out and about tonight, make sure to bring a jacket with you. Tomorrow, however, during the day, you can put that jacket away because it is going to be 84 outside with, again, mostly sunny skies. You may need to even get that bottle of sunscreen outside as well because that high pressure is still hanging around tomorrow. It's still creating this very big bubble around Ohio and the surrounding states. You can't really tell too well on this map, but here's a good picture of that low pressure system and that cold front starting to develop a little bit. So as these systems move over the Rockies, they get a little bit disorganized, but once they get back over on the other side near the Great Plains area, that's when they start to reorganize and we start to see a lot more development. So tomorrow night we see a lot more that start to reach. We still have this high pressure hanging around a little bit, so we'll still see a lot of clearing going on, but as we move into Wednesday, we've got a lot more of this rain lined up right along this cold front because what's happening is this cold air is pushing along this warm air that we're sort of in right now and causing that to rise up and create this layer of cloud since there's a little bit of moisture in the air that we're in right now. So after this cold front passes, we're going to see a drop in temperature, and a few days after that, it'll be a lot less humid. So Tuesday, we're looking at mostly sunny skies again. Wednesday, partly sunny skies. We may see a little bit of clouds, but those are going to be not rain clouds or anything, here and there cloud coverage. But as far as we go for Thursday, we're going to see mostly cloudy skies, 81. Things are going to cool down ever so slightly, mainly due to those clouds. But Friday, that's when we're really going to see the impact of that cold front. We're also looking at that 50% chance of rain. Since we've seen that rain sort of bump up against that cold front, moving along that warm air, our high on Friday is going to be 70, so about 15-degree difference from what we're seeing today. Overnight low in 44, and Saturday, things are going to be pretty chilly. So if you're planning on going to any of the homecoming festivities, make sure to bring that jacket as well. Back over to you, Reese.
Thanks, Emily. Don't panic on Wednesday when your smartphone lets out a loud screech. The federal government is planning a nationwide test of the emergency alert system at 2:20 p.m. The test will include wireless emergency alerts in addition to television and radio. You should also receive a text message telling you it's only a test. This warning will be similar to the Amber Alerts which pop up on your phone. This will mark only the second time the federal government has sent the alert to mobile phones. That was also the case in 2018 when a worker in Hawaii accidentally warned its residents of incoming ballistic missiles. It's that time of year where respiratory virus cases start to rise, and the U.S. is facing a shortfall in a common antibiotic to help treat bacterial infections. Maddie Gaither has more on what parents need to know if their child gets sick.
It's the most prescribed antibiotic in the U.S., but for the second winter in a row, liquid amoxicillin is in short supply.
Fortunately, this is not the first time we've been through this.
Dr. Nushin Aminuddin with Mayo Clinic says most illnesses in fall and winter are caused by viruses, which won't respond to antibiotics. Amoxicillin and other similar medications fight secondary infections caused by bacteria.
There are alternatives that we can use in almost all cases, and so it's not like we're going into this with absolutely no options.
Amoxicillin powder remains on the U.S. Food and Drug Administration shortage list. It's mixed to make the liquid form and given to young children who aren't able to swallow pills. The shortfall was first declared by the FDA last October. Since amoxicillin pills and tablets are not in short supply, Aminuddin says some pediatricians may use those instead.
We can maybe crush a tablet and give that to a child so they get the same amount of the medication that can then be mixed into like a teaspoonful of a food that they might be willing to eat.
And there are other antibiotics as well that can be used to treat a child suffering from illnesses like pneumonia or an ear infection.
Sometimes they're a little stronger, sometimes they might cause more side effects. And so that's why amoxicillin has been a go-to for us for many decades. But we do have other options if your child needs antibiotic treatment.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Coming up in sports, an Ohio star receiver has been ruled out for the season. That story's still ahead. And for now, for the latest from Newswatch, check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
There's been a murder.
How long had he worked undercover?
Years. It was like a drug. The risk, the secrecy.
I believe the expression is, follow that cab.
You are positively over-familiar with certain members of the team.
I don't know who you are. You're parking up the wrong tree.
We're planning to intercept them tonight.
You betrayed us.
Sunday at 8 on WOUB.
on Masterpiece Mystery.
Can we get some help in here, please?
Englehart's gone. Maybe to the nightclub.
Wait, move!
Who benefits most from the death?
He's got motive, he's got opportunity. Let's keep digging.
I've told you what this is all about. Something's going on. I'll call the others.
Kicking myself for not figuring out sooner. Police! Open up! Vantabog, the season finale on Masterpiece Mystery.
Sunday at 10 on WOUB.
Over 200 local newsrooms, over 3,600 journalists, a community of 300 million Americans. The NPR network is listener-supported, independent journalism in communities around the country. It amplifies more voices, more Americas, and takes all of us on new journeys. It takes all of us closer to home. It takes all of us.
The Cartober fundraising drive is on. Help give back this month by donating your used car, truck, RV, or boat to our station. Donating is easy and it's tax deductible. Just call this toll-free number, schedule your free pickup, we'll tow it and give you a donation receipt. Can't donate a car? Spread the word by telling your friends or family and using the hashtag Cartober2023. Learn more by calling this toll-free number or visiting us online.
Welcome back. I'm Andrew Bowlby. The Ohio Bobcats will be without a key offensive weapon this week against Kent State.
I should have mentioned I'm unfortunate with Jacoby. He is out for the year with surgery. He's back home with his family with non-weight bearing leg injury, and our thoughts and prayers are with him.
Losing Jones will hand Ohio a challenge on the offensive side of the ball. Before his injury, Jones racked up 8 receptions for 147 yards, including 85 against Bowling Green. Last year, Jones was on the second on the team in receiving yards and touchdowns with nearly 800 yards and 6 touchdowns. Ohio will need its other receivers like Sam Wiglis and Miles Cross to step up to fill the gap in the Ohio offense. The Ohio hockey team launches its 2023 season with back-to-back wins over West Virginia over the weekend. The Bobcats came out firing both Friday and Saturday, looking to set a tone for the new season. Ohio dominated Friday night, taking down the Mountaineers 7-3. Saturday was much of the same as Ohio controlled play and ultimately swept the series with a 5-1 rout. Ohio's 10 new players on the roster were noticeable Saturday, with Scott Bird making his first appearance in net and Noah Holt recording a goal and an assist. Head coach Lionel Marone says Ohio learned what they will need to improve on before next week's games against Calvin University.
We need to be simpler and we need to play with more pace. So I think we learned a lot, and that gives us stuff to work on before next weekend because Calvin is a lot better team.
The Ohio women's soccer team is heading into the final month of the season at 2-2 in Mid-American Conference play. Ohio took on Bowling Green over the weekend after 2 straight conference victories. Bowling Green struck first halfway through the opening half as Lexi Serwin found the back of the net amidst the chaos. Early in the second, it was BG again, with Bryn Gardner adding another marker to the scoreboard. Although the Bobcats fought hard for 90 minutes, it was the Falcons who walked away with the 2-0 win. Now moving forward from the pitch to the hardwood, the Ohio University women's basketball team released their non-conference schedule for the upcoming season. The Bobcats' non-conference schedule features some big-time opponents this season, including Dayton, Syracuse, and Butler. In the home opener, the women will be hosting Dayton in the Convocation Center after defeating the Flyers by 1 last season. Later in December, the Bobcats will also welcome Syracuse into Athens. The ACC opponent finished 20-13 last season and defeated OU in 2019 when the teams last met. Then Ohio will take a trip to Indianapolis with a meeting with Butler Bulldogs, who are coming off of an 11-19 season last year.
Coming up after the break, why giant pandas are leaving United States Zoo. Stay tuned to WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
The Houston
guys are willing to do whatever it takes.
The Astros used a camera system to steal
The scandal is 5% of the story.
Their pursuit of edge had a dark side to it.
It's called the bleeding edge. You have to take risks.
It became a brutally efficient business, and the Astros did better than anybody else.
If you think you're right, you're willing to endure a lot.
Try to throw them all out.
Lifetime ban.
Lifetime ban.
Tuesday at 10 on WOUB.
This is the PBS Video app. Install it on your phone, tablet, smart TV, or other streaming device, and use it to access more of the PBS shows you love. But if you're looking for even more shows to binge like this, or early access to shows like this, then look for this icon. That's the PBS Passport icon, and it means that video is part of PBS Passport. Passport is our way of saying thank you to our station members. Donate to your local PBS station today, and one of the member benefits you'll receive is PBS Passport, which offers extended access to a growing library of new and favorite PBS programs. You can support your station and your community by becoming a member today. Visit pbs.org/getpassport for details. Watch PBS Passport anytime on any screen, wherever you stream. It's your ticket to the best of PBS.
We started the so-called bebop movement.
From bebop to hip-hop.
And especially jazz.
Enjoy how the great Max Roach turned the drummer into the lead and his music into a call for civil rights.
We do use the music as a weapon.
Be here when jazz drummer, composer, activist Max Roach reveals how the drum also waltzes.
Max Roach wasn't trying to be anything. He was already it.
On American Masters.
Friday at 9 on WOUB.
Finally tonight, if you want to see giant pandas in the United States, you may need to plan your trip soon. China is winding down its loans of the endangered animals to U.S. facilities after years of loaning the pandas around the world as a form of diplomacy. The Columbus Zoo has not had giant pandas since 1992. The National Zoo in Washington says it's returning the 3 in December. The pandas who delighted visitors at the San Diego and Memphis zoos are already gone. Soon, Zoo Atlanta will have the last giant pandas in the U.S. It says the twins will return to China early next year, and their parents will follow a short while later. Well, that's just sad.
Seriously.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I really wish I could see a panda, and unfortunately the zoo hasn't had them since 1992. You know, we weren't really around then to see them or anything, but still beautiful, beautiful animals overall.
Growing up at the Columbus Zoo, I never saw pandas now that I think about it.
Exactly.
But for people that want to make a trip to the zoo, what's the weather going to look like this upcoming week?
Yeah, well, it's going to be a great week until we get to the weekend. But as far as tonight goes, overnight low of 57 with mostly clear skies, so a bit on the chillier side of things. Tomorrow, however, if you do want to take that trip to the zoo, it is going to be a hot one. We're looking at mostly sunny skies, high of 84. So you may want to pack some water, pack some sunscreen, because that sun is going to be shining. We'll see another overnight low of about 56. Now, the main reason we're really seeing a lot of these nice conditions is due to this large high pressure that's really been sitting over the Great Lakes area, stretching over to the Great Plains and along the East Coast. But on Wednesday, we're going to see a bit of development out to the west. So we have a low pressure system with a cold front, and that cold front's going to push right up against this warm air that's got a little bit of moisture in it, causing this precipitation to happen, and we're anticipating this hitting us on Friday. So the rest of this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we're looking at mostly sunny skies, a little bit of cloud coverage with some warmth, but by Friday and Saturday, things are going to get pretty chilly and a bit rainy.
And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. For Emily Dietz and Andrew Bowlby, I'm Reese Thompson. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org. Have a great night.
Support for PBS NewsHour is proudly provided by